The objective of this trial is to look at the impact of timing of weed control on soybean, the impact on yield. And so this is the third year of this study. We have currently 2 trials conducted here at Carrington, and then we have 2 trials conducted at other locations in the state, one by the Devil's Lake area and then one by Langdon. And so what we found so far in the 4 set years of work is that when the weed control in the soybean started at planting time, we had our highest yields, and they've averaged 48 bushel across those 4 set years. When the weed control was applied, when the weeds were relatively small, anywhere from 2 to 4 inches in height, we saw a yield that was about 1 bushel less compared to that planting time weed control. And then we waited for weed control until the weeds were in the 6 to 8 inch height on average. We saw a yield decline of about 3 bushels. And then when we waited extremely late, when the weeds were 10 inches or higher as the average height, we saw a dramatic yield decline, 10 bushels less compared to the yield with the weed control at planting time. So this year we continue to work. I'd like to show you the treatments from our trial here at Carrington. So the very first plot is an example of our weedy check. We have a good stand of soybeans. The soybeans were planted in 15-inch rows. They're Roundup Ready soybean, and we do have a nice density of weeds to apply some good competition with the crop. In this next treatment, this is where we use the soil-applied herbicide at planting time, and then we follow with one post-emergence application of glyphosate. And the weed control has been good, and the soybean plants seem to be responding quite well. Certainly the plants are taller compared to the various treatments where we use post-applied glyphosate. So in the last 3 treatments of this 5-treatment trial, we are looking at the timings of the post-applied glyphosate. So this particular treatment is where we applied glyphosate when the plants were, when the weeds averaged about 2 inches in height, and the soybeans are at the V1 stage, or when the first trifoliate was present on the soybeans. In the next post-emergence timing, this is where the weed height averaged about 6 inches, and the soybeans were at the V3 stage, or 3 trifoliate stage. 3 trifoliate leaves are present on the soybean. This is a late post-emergence application. This is when the weeds averaged about 10 inches in height, and the soybeans are in the V4 to V5 stage, which means 4 to 5 trifoliate leaves present. Especially in these last 2 post-emergence timings, the plants appear to be shorter as compared to earlier weed control when those were applied. We've been short on rain, especially the last half of the season, and that certainly would appear to have an impact too on the various plants out here. And so we're anticipating that we'll have higher yields with the weed control at planting time and the weed control when it was applied early after the crop was up, compared to these treatments here, these plots where we had there was more time for the weeds to have an impact on yield. Besides the trial taking place here in 2013 at Carrington, we also have the trial conducted at Minot and Langdon. And so, assuming we have a successful completion of all 3 trial sites this year, we'll have 7 site years of data compiled. And we would look forward to placing the data from the 7 site years in the 2014 NDSU Extension Weed Control Guide.